Cruise Control, and we are live from the 704 once again for episode 135 of the 815 Exchange. My. Spring break is over, sadly. Way too early. I will remain on that. You know, we gained a lot. Another week with 1K. I mean, y'all have been by them. Just remember to like, share, and subscribe if you guys enjoy the content. Let me just get that out the way now, because y'all been going crazy. Alright, the love has been ridiculous. Alright, it's been ridiculous, but I'm much appreciated. Very much appreciated. We're very close to 900. I think only like 12 away currently at the moment in which I'm recording this. So yeah, that's super duper dope. Yeah, 1K doesn't seem that far away anymore, and yeah, I'm just super appreciative. Thank you for all of the love lately on pretty much all the videos, whether it's the reaction stuff or even the podcast here. Super appreciative. So yeah, thanks for the love there. As always, remember, everything you're looking for can be found in the description, whether it's timestamps, you want to hear me talk about the Roundup, because we got a big Roundup. We got both racing, we got NBA, okay, we got a lot to talk about on the Roundup. You want to skip all the way to the Roundup, we want to skip to the NFL Combine, whatever it is, timestamps are provided in the description along with all of my social medias. But yeah, like I said, man, we got UFC 285, we got the NFL Combine, we got college basketball. If you're a big fan of women's college basketball, this is the episode for you, because we talked about all the conference championships, or at least the main ones. Oh yeah, and I don't know if you know, but Creed came out, and Attack on Titan returned. So yeah, plenty to talk about this week. We got a pretty big episode. So yeah, let's get to business, alright? You know what it is. We going with UFC. We start with MMA. Combat sports traditionally starts, and it's going to start because we don't have Champions League this week. But yes, UFC 285. Of course, it was headlined by the fact that Jon Bones Jones, the infamous one, yes, arguably the greatest fighter to ever live, but also a questionable, very questionable human being, returned and finally made his long-awaited, I think almost 3 years, heavyweight debut, taking on Cyril Gane for the heavyweight crown. Now, I said last week that I had Bones winning, and then I definitely had Bones winning once I realized that I'm not sure if Cyril's hand was completely healed, and then, you know, Cyril doing the whole, I don't really train, I'm late. Listen, it was in the cards. This was the most obvious. I still didn't expect Bones to dominate him like he did. But make no mistake, it was never in doubt. Alright, it was never, ever, unlike some of the other results on this card, it was never, ever in doubt. Alright, Bones went in and Bones did what he did. It only took one, it didn't even take the full round, it just took round one. Alright, he got Cyril on the ground and that was all she wrote. This was the night of the choke. Alright, so everybody was getting choked out. You're going to see that reoccurring theme over the main card fights, and just overall, everybody was getting choked and subbed and finished. Pause, because that sounds like a whole different topic besides sports. But ladies and gentlemen, that's what was happening. And yeah, Jon Jones, he's the heavyweight champ, he's the GOAT. I mean, not really a surprise. Alright, not really a surprise. Honestly, it was his best performance in a while. Because like I've said, probably didn't win some of those, you know, last few light heavyweight bouts, but he came and dominated Cyril. Like, this wasn't close. Easily his best performance in years. He looked comfortable at heavyweight. We'll see what happens. He wants Stipe next. We'll see what happens. I wish we could get that Nagano fight, because that'd be very interesting. But yeah, Jon does what Jon does. Oh my goodness. I had to stop in the middle of the club because they were showing the fight. I had to stop in the middle, because I was like, ain't no way. Valentina Shevchenko just lost. But ladies and gentlemen, we have a new, for the first time in almost 5 years, I think it's 2018 or something like that. Yeah, since Shev won the belt, we have a new women's flyweight champion, and her name is Alexia Grasso. Mexico stand up. Mexico, 3 champions, by the way. So shout out to Mexico. But yeah, Alexia Grasso, the latest, the greatest. Very good fight. Got it to round 4. Shev went for, you know, telegraphed a spinning heel kick. It didn't really work out. Grasso took her back. Grasso choked her out. Like I said, it's a recurring theme. People getting choked out. So if you're choking, this is the episode for you, like I said. But yeah, Grasso, she's the new queen at 125. It was just an impressive performance. I knew she was going to put up a very tough, you know, with the way that Val's been, her past couple fights, she hasn't been quite as dominant. She's been good, but not quite as dominant. So I figured she was going to be able to put up a little bit of a battle here. But nonetheless, can't say like anybody else expected Grasso to do what she did in this fight and pull off the upset. I think that was a surprise to pretty much all of us. But shout out to Alexa. She went in, she showed out. You know, can't really, it's been a kind of a trend here. You know, and maybe it's just a changing of the era. But all of these dominant champs we've had, right? Izzy lost to Pereira again. Leon Edwards upset Usman, right? We've had all of these dominant champs as of late take that L, finally lose, finally get knocked off the throne. And yeah, just Val seems like she's the latest in that long line. Of course, there will be a rematch for this, but yeah, shout out to Grasso. She looked good. I mean, what can we say? She's the queen. We'll see what happens next. Welterweight's probably top prospect, I'm going to be completely honest. Besides that, Khamzat Chimaev guy, it's probably Shavkat. Alright? It's probably Shavkat. And he did nothing to quell that hype, increase that hype probably. Because Geoff Neal also was overweight, had to give up his purse. And then he got subbed around. It was a rough weekend for him. I mean, he had an Esteban Ocon, and we'll get to that around. It was a rough weekend for Geoff Neal. Okay, it just was not a good weekend. You know, had to fight a top prospect. I missed weight, and then I got choked. You know, just a rough weekend for Neal. But yeah, Shavkat showed why he is considered to be as highly regarded he is. 18-0, or is it 17-0 now? But yeah, undefeated, looking like he could be that next big thing in the welterweight division. We will see what happens, but yeah, impressive performance there. Bo Nickel, another super high prospect, Penn State legend, collegiate wrestling legend. He kicked a couple of national championships and probably would be an Olympic gold medalist if it wasn't for that David Taylor man. So how would he do in his USA debut? We saw him dominate the Contender Series. Well, we had a little bit of controversy here. He did hit a little bit of a low blow here on Jamie Pickett, but he took him down. And once that happened, it was pretty much wraps. He got the choke, like I said, another choke. And that was pretty much all she wrote. Pickett tapped out. That was that. Can't call it because of the low blow, but let's be honest. Let's be completely honest here. That probably would have made the fight a little bit longer. I still don't know if it would have made it out around 1. If you would have called the low blow and given him time, because then Bo would have just taken him down and got the choke anyway. So it is what it is. Welcome to the UFC, Bo. Let's go a little bit less on the low blows, but welcome. Welcome to the show. It's going to be very interesting. We'll be watching your career very tightly here on the A15 Exchange. And yeah, to round up the rest of the UFC at 285, Cody Nola finally. Garbrandt got a win. A UD, but he got a win. Pretty much dominated Trevor Jones. Amanda Ribas also back in the win column. She got a UD versus a Renhau. And Jake Gyllenhaal was shooting his new movie at the event. So all week, Gyllenhaal was there. They were doing kind of fake UFC stuff. I'm guessing, I forget what the name of the movie is supposed to be called. But yeah, he was doing the whole thing. It was set at like UFC 222. He did a flying knee. It was just a big whole thing. But yeah, shout out to Gyllenhaal. Really cool to kind of see, kind of peeling back the layer of the movie and kind of seeing it, filmed in a live setting and how they would get those shots. So yeah, shout out to Gyllenhaal. But yeah, 285, solid card. Of course, we had some big results. Bones is back. Grasso's the new queen. And some hype streams kept on rolling. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But yes, UFC 285. A solid way to kick off March. Now, where should we go next? Where should we go? Let's go to college basketball, shall we? Yeah, let's go to college basketball. Let's start with the ladies. Alright, let's start with the ladies. Ladies first. Alright. We're going to go over to the ACC Championship because it was back home in the 3-3-6. So, of course, if we're talking about the 3-3-6, we got to talk about some 3-3-6 legends, right? We got to talk about the great people of Greensboro. And one of the great people of Greensboro, former Northwest Guilford alum, Elizabeth Kidley. Yes, Liz Kidley, two-time now ACC Player of the Year, led her Virginia Tech Hokies, the #1 seed in the ACC, into possibly their first ever ACC tournament championship. Could she make history back home, back in Greensboro? Could Kidley do it? Of course she could. All right, they took out Louisville 75-67. Now, Georgia Moore did everything she could. It wasn't horrifically efficient. She went 6 for 18, 3 for 12 from 3. But she still had 25, led all scores. Lizzie, bro, 20 points. I mean, really, I get a Morgan in it. She had a good tournament, and of course, she led in scoring in this game. Probably would have given it to Lizzie because of her overall performance over the the course of the entire tournament. I feel like she was a little bit better than Georgia Moore. But nonetheless, I mean, we already know Liz has all of the accomplishments. She's going to be in the WNBA next year. Shout out to her 336 legend, like I said. But yes, Liz helps lead Virginia Tech to the first ever ACC championship. Carver, Louisville, did everything she could. She had 27, but it was not enough. They shut down HBL. Just kind of made her not a factor. That seems to be the way. If you're the only way, you gotta make sure she has an inefficient night. If she has an inefficient night, it's gonna be a little bit harder for Louisville to get the result. And yeah, Virginia Tech did enough. Once again, Liz is Liz. She was great defensively, great offensively. Georgia Moore poured on 25. The Hokies get it done. Congratulations to ACC champs. Possibly number one seed. We'll see. South Carolina, all right, the number one team in the land, undefeated for almost 2 years running. My goodness. Yeah, they had Tennessee after LSU got upset by Tennessee. Angel Reese and co. got taken out. I will stand on the fact that I think Angel Reese should have been ASCC Player of the Year over Aaliyah Boston. Nothing wrong with Aaliyah Boston. It's just Angel Reese was just that good this year, personally speaking. But I digress. Speaking of Aaliyah Boston, once again, South Carolina dominated Tennessee. No surprise, 74-58. Aaliyah had 18 and 7, but it was Zia Cook. Yes, the other star on that South Carolina team. Yes, she stole the show. She had 24, dominated. I mean, it was pretty clear she was having one of those games. By the time we got to halftime, it was like, yeah, she's taking over. They're not losing this game. She's taking over. And yeah, they just blew Tennessee away in that second half. It wasn't even close. Houston still had 19 and 9, but yeah, this was all Scar. They got it done. Number one team in the country and probably championship favorites for a reason. Who do we talk about every week? There is one woman we talk about every single week without fail because she does something absolutely ridiculous every single week. I have named her the best player in college basketball. I've named her the most exciting, regardless of gender, player in college basketball. I have labeled her must-see. And if I give her this distinction, one would hope that she would be able to back it up. Well, Iowa made it to the Big Ten Championship. They took on Ohio State, and boy, oh boy, did Caitlin Clark live up to the hype. Yes, the Caitlin Clark show once again arrived, as it does. It's like a weekly episodic show. I mean, it's just like Raw or SmackDown or The Simpsons. It's just a staple, all right? It's a staple at this point. Every single week, we're going to talk about Caitlin Clark because she's going to go off every single week. And once again, she went off on the biggest stage. Yeah, they destroyed Ohio State, 105-72. It wasn't close. Caitlin had 30, 10, and 17. That's 30 points, 10 rebounds, and 17 assists. I mean, I think what was it? It was like she either scored or like she had some like contribution to over 60 of Iowa's points or something crazy like that I saw, or whatever it was. But anyways, she's the best player in the country. She's national player of the year. It's not even a conversation. It's not a conversation. I saw the watch list. It's not a conversation. Not even close. I get it. Aaliyah Boston, superstar on the best team, but she has done nothing even close. It means nothing even close to what Caitlin Clark means to this Iowa team. And I mean that with the utmost respect. The utmost respect. Caitlin Clark is her. She is her. She's the best player in the country. She has proven it time after time after time again against the best competition you can possibly offer. She does this against ranked teams. It's not nobodies. It's not unranked teams. It's not teams in the A10. Nah, it's the best of the best, and she does it. She shows up on the highest level every single time. A 30-point triple-double in the Big Ten Championship. What more can I say? Shout out to Monica Cesano, pretty much the Robin to her Batman. She had 26 in this game as well. But yeah, Caitlin Clark, you know what it is. It's the Caitlin Clark show every single week. It's routine, man. It's routine at this point. Alright, now let's talk about the fellas, alright? Let's talk about the fellas because you know I got to gloat at the end of this. But before we get to that, we had some top 10 matchups match up. And a little bit before that, okay? Texas A&M and Alabama. Texas A&M got the upset, 67-61. Wayne Taylor had 28, Radford had 21, and Brandon Miller, for once in his life, did not bring the clip. Okay? He just did not have it. 7 for 23 for the Bama star, who is in heaps of controversy currently. But yeah, he just, no, there was no 40-point there. Yeah, it was not happening. Texas A&M, by the way, lost to Watford at the early in the season. We thought Texas A&M was finished. They have been far succeeded expectations for them this season. So shout out to Texas A&M. They get a big win, get the big upset here in the SEC. They take out the number 2 team in the country. Texas takes out Kansas 75-59. It wasn't remotely close. And you know what it is. You know if we're talking about Texas on this channel, and you know that means Texas had a big game. You know one man in particular by it. At this point, you should know one man. Just like you know we talk about Caleb Clark every week. You should know if Texas is appearing on this channel and they made an upset or had a big win, one man went off, and that man's name is Sir Jabari Rice, all-name team, second team, or I'm going to give him second team. I don't know if I think first team, but I'll give him second team. But yeah, he played like first team all Big 12 in this game. 23 points for Rice, once again, off the bench. He's just, he's been the key. He's been the X factor for Texas. When he goes on and he goes off, Texas is in a good place to make to do some damage. And yeah, shout out to Rice because he was the guy in this game. Tyrese Hunter, all right, he was a star at Iowa State. Everybody hyped him to the eons. Possibly a lottery pick this year. He has not been that guy. He has not been that guy. Not even close. He did have 20. He was that guy in this game. All right, he showed up when it mattered. So I'll give him that. But yeah, Hunter had 20. Finally, a good game for him. Jalen Wilson, by the way, another wasted great game for Jalen Wilson. He had 20 and 10. But once again, you're not going to win in basketball if you're the only guy that showed up. All right, he's the only guy that showed up to the gym for the Jayhawks. And yeah, Texas gets the win. UCLA takes out Arizona in a top 10 matchup in the Pac-12, excuse me. Jamie Jacquez. All right, we haven't talked too much about JJJ or Triple J. But yeah, he got it done. 22 and 10. Look like Jamie Jacquez, looked like himself again. But yeah, he had 22 and 10 on senior night, so yeah, big moment for him. And of course, he put at the number 14 in the country, so he'll take that too. Tiger Campbell had 21. Tubilis had 24 and 10 for Arizona, but it was not enough. It just was not enough. UCLA was not going to be denied at Pavolli Pavilion on this night, and yeah, they were the better team, pretty much had it the whole game. They got it done. Now let's talk about it, ladies and gentlemen. What I really want to talk about. Let us talk about it. Because we walked into the Dean Dome once again. The mighty Duke Blue Devils, having already beat them at Cameron Indoor once this season. And we have revenge on our mind. Still with the salts, the bitterness of the rivalry-changing wins that Carolina was able to get last year. We needed this. So what did we do? We took our broomsticks and we sweeped it all over the Dean Dome. We sweeped it all over that ugly-ass blue that Carolina claims, and we got rid of them. We got rid of them from multiple things, from any type of national tournament contention. We also got rid of them from getting revenge on us or getting one lap on us, because we got the sweep, all right? The Feds did a sweep and so did Duke, all right? We got the sweep on Carolina, 62-57. You absolutely love to see it, all right? You love to see it. Kyle Flipkowski, who tonight, or really today, sometime during the day, probably by the time you're watching this, actually, should be named ACC Rookie of the Year. I digress. He had 22 and 13. But, I really do, before my time runs up here, I want to quickly just give a round of applause to some Carolina greats in their great performances in this game. Leaky Black, Carolina legend, 3 for 16. Caleb Love, future Guardian Tiger, 3 for 12. RJ Davis, he was solid, so I won't go too bad on RJ, but he was kind of inefficient. Either way, they took that L. P. Nance did nothing again. Armando Baycott, once again, going to be an incredible G Leaguer, and also may join Caleb Love at the Guangdong Tigers. He can also go play in the Australian League. But you know what? You won't be in the league. All right? Guess what? Sweep. You love to see it. We got rid of Carolina. Bye-bye. Congrats on being the first ever preseason number 1 to not make the NCAA tournament. Entertainment. Yes. Entertainment. Bring us. Listen, just pop up the graphic, future Chris. All right? Pop up the poster for Creed 3. Because you know what it is, all right? We're not wasting no time. We started off with Creed 3. Now, as you may or may not know, I absolutely love the Creed movie. I love the Creed movies. Love the Creed. I think Creed 2, which surprisingly I know everybody's like, oh, Creed 1 is better than Creed 2. Creed 2, I think for a period of time was my favorite movie. I'm not gonna sit here and BS you. I adore the Creed movies. I love them. They are my children. Alright? And Creed 3, I now have a third child. Okay? I now have a third child because Creed 3, you know, I got really excited once I saw the reviews came out. It started off at like a 90 on Rotten. I was like, okay, even the critics rocking with it. Okay. So I had high expectations when I walked into the movie theater on Friday. When I walked into the High Point Parade. When I walked in. And of course, Creed 3 lived up to those expectations. Jonathan Majors. What more can we say? All right, the man has been in literally everything, pretty much every movie. You can't avoid him at this point, but it's okay. It's okay because he's been one of the best actors in our recent times. Let's be honest. Majors is him. All right, he was him as Damian Anderson. He was great. All right, he was great as Dame Anderson. Diamond Dame Anderson. He was phenomenal. Phenomenal. There was just this little bit in his performance that just made you feel uncomfortable. I felt very realistic of like for those of you that have had any semblance of success, that have had some old friend trying to come back and kind of, I won't even say leech, but kind of come back into your life now that you're, popping again. It was that little bit of uncomfortability you can feel. He was able to challenge that just perfectly. Just perfectly. He was phenomenal in this. Michael B. Alright, he's MBJ. It was his directing debut. He killed it. I could see the anime influences, which, he heavily hinted to. And you could definitely see in that last fight versus Dame, especially when they kind of zone. I mean, he also took literally some shots from like DBZ and so on and so forth from Naruto and put them into the fight. But yeah, you could kind of see that in that fight where they took away the crowd and it was just the two of them kind of fighting. So yeah, some of the themes, taken directly from that, but I absolutely loved it. It made it feel different from the other movies. It was still formulaic. What you would expect to happen is what happened, right? It's a Creed / Rocky, you know what it is, but it still felt different. It still had its own flavor, right? And I think that's what was important. Jose Benavidez was actually a solid actor. I'm not gonna lie. Benavidez wasn't bad as Felix Chavez. He also quite possibly, and this might be my favorite thing about the Creed series, underratedly, besides of course the training montages, which are always fire and it makes you want to shadow box as you're leaving the movie theater, which I did. But it's the fighter entrances. The fighter entrance, they have not missed on a fighter entrance in this series. Of course, the iconic Pretty Ryan Ricky Conlan in the first one, Icon in the second one, Drago back in Moscow, and now Felix Chavez. That was hard. Alright, I need a YouTube video so I can rewatch that entrance because the whole the Mexican themes, the guy came out with the map, it was hard. Alright, the fight entrances in Creed are top notch. One of my favorite aspects of the movies. Always gets me hype. But yeah, Benavidez the greatest. Felix Chavez, Mary Ann, played by Patricia Rashad, died in this movie. Kind of gave it some weight. Of course, spoiler alert by the way, if you haven't seen the movie, which again you should know by now. Spoiler alert. But yeah, that kind of gave it some weight. And anybody that's kind of lost a loved one can, kind of see how that emotion and kind of see how Donnie spiraled. Victor Drago returned in this, which was really cool to see and kind of see him still apart and, them keep that continuity. Him and Adonis, him and Donnie have become pretty good friends. He was sparring with Donnie. Bianca, alright, Tessa Thompson and Michael B. Jordan have ridiculous chemistry. I actually saw somebody say they didn't have any chemistry in the first one, which is ridiculous, but they have ridiculous chemistry. They got ridiculous chemistry. I saw that same clip that everybody else has seen of them on the red carpet, and they just listen, bro. Listen. MBJ, I know I'm not trying to be parasocial, but listen, and not that you need my cosign, but I'm giving you all, both of y'all the cosign. I mean, you and Tessa cosign. If y'all want to, we're here for it. All I'm saying is we're here for it. But, more exploring the relationship between Bianca and Dee was always great. His relationship with his daughter, Amar, that actress, that young actress, phenomenal, deaf. That's the proper way to do representation, right? I know a lot of people beg for representation in movies. That is the proper way of doing it, right? It was a major, part. Her condition was a part of the storyline, but it wasn't something that was it was thrown in your face, right? And it was like, hey, we have this character, and that's why she's there. No, she was a part of the storyline, and it felt fluid, it felt natural, and it felt right, and she was great in her performance, and it just kind of added to, everything around Donnie and what was going on. So yeah, shout out to the girl that played Amara. She's phenomenal. Would be definitely down if she ends up, because it seems like she wants to get in boxing. I would be down. I would be 100% down for an Amara Creed to take over the reins after we finish the kind of Creed, whatever ology it ends up being. But yeah, Creed 3, phenomenal. Easy cosign for me. Absolutely love the movie. I will be seeing it once again when whatever domain they get dropped. Probably Netflix, I think, because it has the rest of the movies, the Rocky movies. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, Creed 3, cosign, y'all know what it is. Attack on Titan, it's back. For one episode, and then we'll get the next episode in the fall, because, Mappa does great work, but they need some time, and we don't need to kill those designers and animators. Now, Attack on Titan, however, it's back. Hour-long episode, with a lot of the things happening. Hanji, with your hearts. She finally came her time. She got to see everybody in her death, but she went out in a blaze of glory. That was honestly even better than how it was in the manga, and it was really good in the manga. But yeah, it's one of those things that sometimes Telly can enhance the way something is seen, and this was one of those things. So yeah, Hanji. But yeah, she went out like a G. Going against the Rumbling, took out more than enough, gave him time. Literally went out in a blaze of glory. So yeah, shout out to Hanji. Of course, Rumbling is on her way, and we kind of got to see the emotional weight and the toll it's taken on EREN, and him just kind of having his childhood stripped from him because he had all these memories. He knew what he was going to do. Literally had an emotional breakdown to a kid. Basically being like, yo, in 5 years, I'm going to do something that horrifically horrible to you. And then we got to see, because Mappa and, Ishimura are savages, we got to see the kid literally die. Which I do not think was in the manga, but it was, just another thing that is enhanced by Telly. Seeing all of those hundreds and thousands and millions of people die, and kind of seeing the actual effects of the Rumbling, and, the actual kind of death toll just kind of sets it in for you. Mikasa is still Mikasa. Armin and Annie, I see you, my boy. And yeah, just EREN was like, yeah, what's up with it? I'm not stopping, but y'all are free to stop me, because I'm not going to stop you. Wink, wink. I'm not going to say that has anything to do with the ending, but, you can determine for yourself. But nonetheless, EREN versus everyone, it'll be interesting to see the conclusion in the fall, but yeah. Where we set it all up, Levi, even with like 2 fingers and completely bandaged up, still wanted smoke with Zeke. He is a generational hater, alright? Levi Ackerman is a generational hater. I mean, he is an all-time great hater. I have never seen one person hate another man so much in possibly the history of, it is a generational level of hate. All-time great hate. You could probably call him the Wayne Gretzky of hating. Because the man, the hate in his heart, okay? I feel like Levi could be on his deathbed. His last words would be, is that monkey still up? Can I put hands on him? One last time. It's the only thing that keeps him going, I'm pretty sure at this point, is the fact that he gets to throw hands with Zeke. Just a generational hater. Generational hate. But yeah, AOT's back. It was a great episode, and now it's gone again. But we will see you in the fall, and of course we'll be talking about that here on the A15 Exchange. Music. Alright, let's talk about it. We had 2 albums that I will talk about come out this week. One was Young Nudy, because Young Nudy also loves, there's a couple things that Nudy loves, alright? He loves dropping albums, not on Friday, but some random day, which is usually Monday or Tuesday, for whatever reason. And he also loves naming his albums and songs after food. And if he names a song, or in this case, an album after food, it is going to be fire. He has not ever missed on a song named after food. Now, what happens when you make an album of songs named after food? He's not going to miss, not once. And it's going to get the highest score I have given in 2023 for an album. And it's not, it's probably close, because I gave Lovesick 9, right? I don't think anybody's gotten above a 9 yet this year. Well, I'm going to give Gumbo by Young Nudy, which my standout song was Make Chicken. This sounds probably absolutely insane without any type of context. I'm going to give it a 9.5, brother. This is firmly an album of the year contention. I consider giving this a 10 for a period of time. But only because I was able to nitpick certain things that I was like, you know what, it doesn't really feel right giving it a 10. But I'm going to give it a 9.5. It was easily one of my favorite albums. Going to be one of my favorite albums of the year. The listening is everything. It's everything. His beat selection separates him as an artist. I mean, his beat selection is impeccable. Besides just his delivery and just the overall swagger that Nudy brings to the table, in his song, just the beat selection is impeccable. It's impeccable. It's impeccable. Some of the best beat selection I think in rap. But yeah, Nudy, Gumbo, 9.5. It's super high score, but well deserved because that album was, I mean, a heat. Top to bottom. Wasn't even like any like mid or just heat. All 12 heat. Alright? One of the albums of the year. Slowthai, an album that's actually critically considered one of the albums of the year so far. I'm not going to give it a rating because I want to get back to, some other listens. I've listened to it once, and I don't think it would be fair because of the genre and because of Slowthai as an artist. I am not going to give it a rating. I may go back and give it a rating on a later episode, but I am not going to give it. But I did enjoy it. It was different. It was very, very different, but it was very good. It was very good. So I would say it's going to be probably in that 8-ish range. I don't know if I'm giving it a 9, and I'm going to give it album of the year, but I think it's going to be that 8-ish range for me. So still a very good album, but yeah, I'm not going to give it an official rating, but Slowthai, Ugly, it was very, very good, very different. But yeah, love the exploration of his psyche and the artistry that, and just kind of his evolution as an artist, by the way. So yeah, shout out to Slowthai, very good. NFL Combine, I said last week, I said to everybody, so it really shouldn't have been a surprise. I said Anthony Richardson was going to destroy the Combine. And people were going to be like, oh, he might be top 10. Whether he actually had the production for a top 10 pick, not really. But I knew his physical gifts were going to shine through because he was one of the most physically talented quarterbacks I'd ever seen without even seeing his actual numbers. Now, his actual numbers, let's go down to it. He ran a 4.43 at 6'4", 245 pounds. But there's more. He broke the quarterback record of the Combine for the vertical jump with a 40-inch vertical. He broke it for the broad jump, 10 feet, 9 inches. It's a bad man. It's a bad man. That is a bad, bad man. His deep ball was looking good. He had some accuracy, which showed. In some of the other, he had some missed throws. He wasn't as crispy as, let's say, C.J. Stroud, which, by the way, shout out to his agent because he was pumping the press. I mean, he was pumping the press to really get that message out to make it seem like Stroud was some generational quarterback. He had a good performance, but let's not act like this was like, oh my God, it's the second coming of Jesus, which is what the agent was doing, and that's his job. So I can't really fault him, but let's relax. All right, Stroud had a good performance though. But yeah, AR15. Even though he chose not to, use that nickname. But AR was just, he was him. All right, he's him. He's a physical marvel. He's the most physically talented quarterback we've seen. Arguably ever. I'm going to be completely honest. He has a rocket arm, do 60 miles per hour. He's fast. And he's physically speaking, he's like what you would create in a lab for a quarterback. Can he actually put it together is going to be the question. I think he needs to sit a year behind somebody, and then maybe he needs some development, but my goodness, he has a huge ceiling. But yeah, Anthony Richardson did what I expected him to do with the Combine. I mentioned Stroud earlier. Let's talk about his other Ohio State teammates who didn't play this year, really. But yeah, Jackson Smith-Njigba destroyed the agility drills. No surprise, once again, he's one of the best route runners, I think. Arguably, alongside probably Jordan Addison, the best route runner. But yeah, JSN did what I expected JSN to do. He handled business. So yeah, ran a solid time. Wasn't going to be anything too crazy. He's not a 4.3 guy. He's just a good receiver. He's got game speed, all right? Don't trick yourself into thinking that he is not that guy, because he is absolutely that guy. He should still be wide receiver 1. And I was a USC fan. Nolan Smith, another guy that was injured. Do not fool yourself into thinking he is not one of them ones. He ran a 4.39. Now, I don't love to put super importance on the 40 because it doesn't always equate, obviously, to success, but it's still impressive to see Nolan Smith run a 4.39. Another thing I noticed was all of these super fast times were by 5-star prospects. which tells you something about high school recruiting. That should tell you something. Compared to NFL recruiting or scouting, to high school scouting, a lot of those 5 stars are those physically gifted guys that people think can project into stars. And it's reflected here in the comments. One thing I noticed, Owen Popoe also had a super fast time. He was the #1 linebacker coming out, even though he may not be the #1 linebacker in this class on the same level as a Drew or Will Anderson, right? Even though Drew and Will were also 5 stars. But nonetheless, just an example there. But yeah, Nolan, he had a great combine, 4.39. Bryce Young is 5'10". Not really a surprise. He's not going to be 204 pounds. I don't really care about his height and weight because he makes throws the way he does, and he has the pocket presence, and he makes the plays that he does. I do not care about his size. As long as his ability translates to the next level, I do not care. I am not worried about him taking wear and tear. He has been doing this his entire life, and he's been better than everybody else. I am not going to psych myself up if I'm one of those top teams because he's 5'10" and he might not be 200 pounds. I do not care. He did it at Alabama at the highest level. He won the Heisman, and he was just better than everybody else. If he was 6'3", we wouldn't be having this conversation. We wouldn't be having a conversation about Stroud. Certainly not Will Levis. We wouldn't be having this conversation. He'd be the undisputed #1. So I do not care, honestly. I really do not care. Running backs, they went off yesterday. Gane had a 4.32, which is faster than I thought he was going to be, but he is a very good running back, one to look out for. Bajan ran a 4.43 or 4.47. Don't know what the official was, but I know he ran a 4.47 officially. But anyways, he's got 4.4 speed. Should correlate any questions about his, burst, which was ridiculous. He's a top-level running back prospect worthy of a first rounder. I will say that. I don't care. Deuce Vaughn, him. He's also a short king. He's 5'5". He's a fellow short king. Do not psych yourself out because he is the next Darren Sproles. I'm just saying. He also had a 35-inch vertical, which is impressive for a 5'5" for man. So, yeah, shout out to Deuce. I'm rooting for him. I wouldn't be surprised because we have his father on staff. I wouldn't be surprised if he's a Cowboy, but yeah, that had nothing to do with it. Christian Gonzalez dominated for the DBs. He showed out. A lot of people were saying he might be cornerback 1 now. Darnell Washington also showed out. Once again, another 5-star that is a physical marvel. Almost 6'7", 250, ran a 4.6, that one-handed catch. And of course, he's basically a 6th offensive lineman. He is going to go much higher than a lot of people think he is because of just his overall talent base. But yeah, Darnell Washington, he's a beast. And yeah, that was the NFL Combine. Of course, we got the pro days coming up, and we'll be talking about that. Any interesting things that happened there. But yeah, overall, interesting NFL Combine, and it's always a good time. When the Combine gets around, getting to see them, do what they do and see kind of these times and get these official measurements. So yeah, that's always fun. But yeah, AR15 stole the show as expected. And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, we have now reached the Roundup. Yes, racing. First week of the F1 season. We are in Bahrain for the Bahrain Grand Prix. And it really felt very familiar. Besides Aston Martin leveling up, shout out to Nando on the P3. Lance Stroll also dealing with a heap of injuries. Got, I think, P6. So shout out to Lance as well. Aston Martin looking way better. This felt very similar to last season, all right? It felt very, very familiar, very, very similar to last season. Max Verstappen dominates. Max has won 15 of the last 20 races. George Russell, fellow, very top, very elite, very, drives for Mercedes. George Russell, the great George Russell, literally said, word for word, I think Max is going to win every single race this year. Red Bull built a spaceship and has the best driver on the planet. This is not going to be fair. I'm concerned unless Max wrecks that car or Red Bull has a massive, uncharacteristic mechanical failure, which is possible, or he gets wrecked. That is the only way that Red Bull / Max does not win every single race this year. Besides maybe giving 1 or 2 to Checo. Checo also got the P2 here. So Red Bull swept qualifying. then swept the race. Okay, just like last year, But that wasn't all, because Ferrari, Charles Leclerc, looking like he's going to get that number 3 spot here. Ferrari just didn't have the race pace to keep up with the Red Bull car. It was what it was. Leclerc get the 3. You walk out of here, you still get some points. Leclerc still in the championship. Really the battle for second, okay? The battle for second. He's still in that fight. Early in the season, gets a good result. He won Bahrain last year, by the way. But no, Ferrari once again has some mechanical issues, so yeah, that goes out of the window. And of course, McLaren has been god-awful this entire weekend. So Piastri, one of the most high prospects we've had in a while at F1. Of course, he's going to end his first Grand Prix driving less than 20 laps and in last place because the electricity cut off. And of course, Lando was driving a piece of the entire weekend, so he couldn't really do too much with that either, as good as Lando Norris is. So yeah, just a McLaren disaster class, a Ferrari disaster class. Esteban Ocon got penalized so much that he got sat down. Disaster class for him. However, Red Bull, just business as usual. Max does this. I mean, just business as usual. Looks like he's going to dominate once again this year. That record that he made last year is going to be in jeopardy. I'm going to say that now. It's going to be in jeopardy. Red Bull has the sauce. Aston Martin, though, are going to make it competitive. They look like they're for real. With Fernando and Lance and what they've built with that car, I think they're going to make it competitive. And there's going to be an interesting fight between them, Ferrari and Mercedes, over who gets that, second in the constructors. And I think that's the big story because congratulations to Max Verstappen on a 3rd World Drivers' Championship. Now, NASCAR. William Byron wins in Las Vegas. Yeah, congrats. Chase Elliott broke his leg this past weekend, so Hendrick needed this, okay? They needed this after what happened to Chase. But yeah, Byron wins in Vegas. Soccer. Manchester United fans, cut off the episode now. All right? United, cut off the episode now. Or just skip to the roundup, right? Or we're in the roundup. Skip to the outro, okay? That's what I meant. Skip to the outro, because it's not going to get pretty for you right now. Liverpool beat Manchester United 7-0. That is not a typo. 7-0. Okay, 3 different players had a brace. Gakpo, yikes. Salah and Darwin Núñez all had a brace in this game. Salah became Liverpool's all-time leading Premier League scorer. Hell, Roberto Firmino is leaving. He got the goal in the 88th minute to make it 7-0. This was after all we've talked about Manchester United, how great they've been there, Ten Hag, Marcus Rashford, what a humbling experience at Anfield. I mean, what a humbling experience. And for Liverpool fans, this had to be cathartic after what happened against Real Madrid at Anfield. To get it back in blood versus your biggest rivals had to feel cathartic. Had to be a religious experience. 7-0. They scored 6 goals in the second half. People went into halftime thinking, okay, it's not too bad. Man, you can still get into it. 6-0 in the second half. I mean, destroyed them. Worst loss in the history of Manchester United. A nice humbling experience for the Red Devils. We'll see what happens next or if Liverpool can keep this momentum. But yeah, the Premier League table just got a lot more interesting. And to end off here, Kylian Mbappe broke the record for PSG's all-time leading goal scorer. He got to 1. He was hunting it all game versus Nantes, but he was able to get it. They did a big ceremony. He is unfortunately the greatest goal scorer in the history of Paris Saint-Germain history. So, yeah, congrats to the best player in the world. We'll see what he can do against Bahrain on Tuesday or Wednesday. Champions League is back this week, so of course we'll be talking about that next week. But, yeah, he's going to need to be more what we talked about last week in terms of form, rather than the game he had versus Nantes this past weekend if he wants to be Bayern. But nonetheless, he's the best player in the world. This is what he does. For some reason, people keep doubting him, and that usually doesn't end up well. So we'll see if people pay the piper next week. But for now, for this episode, longer episode, but nonetheless still a good one. Ocho, signing off.